Hello once again to part 2 of this two-part video session of the NALCS off-season rundown. So, as I said before, this part 2. So again, a short version of the disclaimer. This is mostly subjective. The ranking are also mostly subjective. I looked at some stats, I looked at some infos, but yeah, I didn't rewatch every game, so it's my subjective opinion. And yeah, if you disagree or have your own opinion, own ranking, yeah, post them in the comments below. If you like what you see, please leave a like here. And now let us just dive into the second part of it, the next 5 teams. So, starting with FlyQuest. So, FlyQuest, they got a few questionable moves here. Remember, they were second place twice this year, in spring and in summer playoffs, so they actually were quite good. So obviously they're looking for upgrades more than downgrades to solidify their top position in the NA scene. They are getting Licorice over Solo, which I would consider an upgrade. Solo was playing rather well at the end of the year, but also Licorice is a player, with a high caliber, and although he was slumping a bit with C9 at the end of summer, over the past years and over at the beginning of the year, he was playing better than many other top laners in the league. So yeah, in many cases this is an upgrade, although Solo is also a good player. Then Joseo Dodo is a downgrade over Centauran, so not only in terms of individual skill in my opinion, but also because of the problems that may come with getting him as a player. So he's an import from the LNS, which is a not English speaking region, as I know. They're speaking Spanish there. As such, there's the problem of a language barrier, especially with his mid laner, and Licorice also as the top laner. There are these issues in communication, which are very key. Especially also with Diamond, the new support for the team. He's also probably not speaking Spanish. I mean, some of them have it in school, but yeah, it might be an issue. As such, I have to deduce a few points here. I already talked about the 2 other players. Diamond, the downgrade in my opinion over Igna. Yes, Igna is not the Igna he was 2017, but he's still very creative and still has some moments here and there, although they are not as explosive as before. Then Palafox, the mid laner, obviously a downgrade to Power of Evil, a very strong downgrade in my opinion. Yeah, so again you see they lost their very good jungler, they lost their very good mid laner, they lost their good support, and also in Johnson and Wild Turtle. You could call Wild Turtle an upgrade because he's the more known player, and I will call it an upgrade to get Johnson over Wild Turtle. But yeah, Johnson also was very contested in on the market, similar to Licorice. FlyQuest spent lots of money to get these 2 players, so yeah, they have actually high pressure to make it work with these 2, even though they have Palafox and Diamond, who are players of a different caliber, let's call them that. And also the thing with Johnson is he's not really proven, he's more hyped up. And yeah, so overall, yeah, they spent a lot of money, they have no high pressure to make it work, also with the expectations of the last season. And yeah, they gave up some of the named players or and faces for the team, like Power of Evil, Wild Turtle and Centauran. Yes, FlyQuest is still a very fresh team, so they haven't really solidified their identity besides these green activist stuff that they're doing. They haven't really found a hard key player for them, but every time they seem to develop someone like Wild Turtle or Power of Evil as a face of the team and or their brand, they let him go. So yeah, they should work on keeping some players to get a better image in that sense. And yeah, we have to look at the language issues here and there, but I mean they're probably figuring that out. with a translator, and as I said, many of them may have had Spanish in school. So, moving on to the next team, Golden Guardians. So Golden Guardians, remember, their season was rather lackluster, but in the summer playoffs, they had some good moments. I think, yeah, they beat TSM 3-0 if I remember correctly. So a very good team overall, with Hansa, Closer, Demonte, FBI and Huhi. But yeah, they let everyone go. Hansa changed for Niles. And I say change because Niles is a player that is very hyped in the lesser known community of the NALCS at the moment. He was scrimming with TSM at Worlds in some cases, over Broken Blade if I remember. And yeah, it seems that his results were quite good. He also played in the Challenger scene. He got a full stipendium at the university for League of Legends. So he seems to be a very good native American player. So yeah, probably he is an upgrade to Hansa, although he doesn't have the same amount of experience. And yeah, so that's some issue. But if you have experience in the other players, yeah, you can hide that, right? But then look at the next players they're getting. Iconic, Ablazo Live, Stixay and Newbie. So Iconic and Ablazo Live, I don't really know them all that well. I looked them up and yeah, they come from nowhere. That doesn't mean that they're bad, but they are 100% worse than Closer and Demonte. Losing one of your best players and a very solid mid laner for some high variance newer players. A very risky move, and yeah, as we do not know much of those players at all, so we don't really know them from high challenger positions or bots on YouTube, for example. They haven't played in any other team, like major team. So yeah, I can't really rate them all that high because we haven't found out much about them, and what we know about them is that they're like so-so. So yeah, I'm sorry, but we have to wait and literally see what they deliver on the field. 6A for FBI. FBI isn't the best AD carry in the world, but yeah, he was still very solid, and some of the last performances in playoffs were certainly on his back. Stixay, on the other hand, yeah, he had some good performances. I think, what was it, 2017 or 16? I'm not really sure. Yeah, but after that, it was on a downhill, and especially last season, it wasn't all that pretty. So sadly, even though I like the guy, it's a downgrade in terms of the comparison to FBI. And Newbie, he's a very established player in the Mexican or the Southern American scene. So he's not a rookie, and he's has some fair share of experience. But I feel like he's still a downgrade to Huhi, even not though on the individual level, but yeah, again, the language problems, and also yeah, mechanically he doesn't seem that outstanding to me. Historically speaking, he's now the second import from the Southern American scene, after Joseo Dodo, just the split. So yeah, these two are like the frontier of maybe a new set of imports coming to NA to save the North American players. Am I right? And yeah, so overall I have to say Golden Guardians, yeah, they downgraded their entire team. Maybe these new players and unproven players, maybe they can pop off, but it's like very unlikely that they are better than their counterparts that are now mostly part of 100 Thieves, which, yeah, if you remember the first video, if you don't, please check it out. 100 Thieves, their roster looks very, very strong, and they got 4 of the Golden Guardians players, everyone besides Hansa. Golden Guardians hard downgrade, and as we do not know of these new players, and what I found about them, it wasn't looking so good, I have to give them a C+ here. You could argue maybe for a B- if you are very nice for these newer players, but I want to be a bit more harsher here, because for Golden Guardians as an organization, this is a very, very questionable move. I mean, how can you let go of all your 5 players if they have proven to be so very good? And if you have spent so much time to develop them, it's very, very strange. Maybe these players wanted new contracts and much more money, but then maybe you could double down on keeping closer because he was like your best player, and then let go of maybe FBI or Hohuhi. I'm not sure. It's very, very strange. And yeah, certainly we predict that they are going down, but yeah, maybe they have some like unexpected moves here and there. But even then, they should still be worse than what they had. Okay, moving to the next team, Immortals. So Immortals also did some like, major moves, changing nearly every position, starting in the top lane as always. So Revenge over Alorum. So Revenge, maybe you don't know him, but he's a streamer. And yeah, he's a good challenger player as well, if I remember correctly. But the thing is, he isn't really a pro player per se. So he wasn't really training in academy. Maybe he did some in-houses and practiced with some pro players. But as far as I know, he comes straight from streaming into pro play. Yeah, even though he may be a talented player mechanically, in many cases, if you're a hardcore solo queue player, and also he's quite old, and you want to go into pro play, there are some issues getting adapted to the team environment, getting adapted to the new game. Yeah, the new game. It's completely different from solo queue. As such, yeah, I have to rate him a bit low. Maybe he pops off, but with someone like Viper in mind as another like streaming and solo queue player from the NA server. Yeah, and Viper also didn't really pop off all that much. So yeah, I have low expectations. I think he should rather have played a split or a year, a season, I don't know, in academy, get a bit more accustomed to, learn a bit more moves and so on. And maybe that would have been better. Maybe he's a wonder child and yeah, has some hidden practice and yeah, then pops off. I do not know, but yeah, as I said before, I rank him low here. Please prove me otherwise. So then we have Xerxes over Xmithy in the jungle. So yes, Xmithy is old. He is not as gifted mechanically as he probably was in his younger days. That's all true, but also Xerxes, yeah, his last year was very bad. And the years before, he was more the creative jungle Ivern player. And yeah, the other metas wasn't really his, and overall, yeah, he had this one shining moment more or less in his career, and then it all got downhill, which is the trend for many players. They all have their 1 year, their one split, their one meta where everything is good for them, and then afterwards it's kinda meh. So especially last year, Xerxes and his support Destiny, yeah, they didn't really perform all that well. Maybe they can find back to their form. And also in comparison, Xmithy, yeah, he's very old. I think he was around 30 or something. Not really sure. So it's not really an upgrade because I think Xmithy is very good and he brings many things to the team. But also I could see how Xerxes maybe in a new environment and now with the entire game changed, his intellect could probably be quite nice, but also he's not really hard ganking jungler, so maybe there are some issues with Revenge playing a more aggressive solo queue-esque style in the top lane. Yeah, it's a bit strange, but again, I am open up for surprises. In the mid lane, there were no changes here, Insanity stays, and yeah, I'm not really sure about that. Immortals was a bottom tier team, so yeah, probably they didn't have the greatest budget to fix it. As such, they are keeping Insanity here. It's okay, I guess. Yeah, he didn't really shine all that much. Maybe he needs more time. Maybe Immortals need another mid laner. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like not changing this, but yeah. But probably all their money was spent in the bot lane, getting Raze and Destiny. So Raze from Legacy and Destiny from Origin. Raze obviously an upgrade over Apollo, and especially with Hakuho, a very proven and very good bot lane in the NA scene. But Raze, if you have watched Worlds play-in, him and his team, they nearly made it out of play-ins, and yeah, only got stopped by LGD that suddenly played serious, I guess. As such, even in these games, he looked very good against Kramer, and overall in the entire last year, his team was very dominant in the OPL region. And yeah, any more OPL players coming to North America, and yeah, so he's obviously an upgrade over Apollo. He is very good on the international play-in qualification scene, and obviously that's more than good enough for the average NA team. So yeah, it's a very good upgrade, getting a good AD carry here, and also a fellow OPL support in Destiny. Destiny left the OPL for Origin the year before, and yeah, we all knew how Origin's run was this year. It was very bad, and yeah, with that Destiny's hype also died down. And yeah, so he probably is a little bit cheaper, and also maybe he wasn't all that great, so it's a bit questionable if the hype was either not needed because he's not that great, or maybe it's just the circumstances of Origin that led to the performance that we saw. So I'm not really sold on upgrade over Hakuho, but yeah, especially with Apollo and Hakuho being a bot lane that is a good combination together and not only two individuals. As such, it's a bit of a stranger move, but I guess Immortals had to do something to upgrade their team, and yeah, getting a popular streamer to get more fans, getting a European jungler to probably upgrade some skills, and then getting an OPL bot lane, which is a bit cheaper because it comes from a wildcard region, and also it has the potential to look quite good. But there are still many question marks. Revenge over Alorum, then Destiny and Xerxes, they had some bad splits. Maybe they were cheaper because of that. It's still a question if they can return to the level of their past. Then the situation with multiple import slots again here. So Xerxes, Reese and Destiny are all not from NA, and all are import slots. As Hakuho has actually left for Academy. Apollo has left the team, but he hasn't rejoined any other team, if I remember correctly. So maybe if Apollo rejoins the team or rejoins Academy, there are some setups where Reese and Destiny will start an Academy League, and Haku and Apollo start in the normal A team, and then maybe they swap bot lane and then swap Xerxes jungle. None of them is in NA long enough for green card. I mean, all three of them just joined the NA LCS for the first time. Yeah, there are actually great problems in this department. Yeah, very strange getting 3 imports overall. The moves are questionable in some cases, and overall it's I would actually go with a slight upgrade on this, because what they had before, although on paper it wasn't that bad, it very much didn't work out. And so I guess nearly any change is an upgrade here, and a B- maybe a bit too kind towards that, but I have high hopes in Raze, and if Destiny and Xerxes just can play decently, this could work out better than than last split. And that's absolutely needed for the team. And that's it in this department. Moving on to Team Liquid. So Team Liquid, they didn't win anything this year, which is a really downside from winning everything the last 2 years. As such, they are doing more upgrades. So Alfari and Impact. So I think Impact is a very good player. And not only that, I think Impact brings a lot to the table besides what he does on the Rift. And especially for TL's playstyle, which is more mid and bot side focused, I think a player like Impact fits perfectly into that. And yeah, also he's with the team for a long time in terms of branding and that department. So I think it's not as sold that this is an upgrade for Alphari. Yes, he's probably better mechanically and a greater carry player. But does a team need 5 carries? I'm not really sure about that. Yeah, there were teams in the past that worked with 5 carries, but also teams that completely crumbled into nothingness because of that. Yeah. Also, Alphari is an import slot and Impact isn't. So, yeah, you're losing something there. But in terms of import slots, they lost another import slot, or got one more, I don't know how you say that, in getting Santorin from FlyQuest for Broxah. So Broxah, yeah, it was certainly a flop for both sides of this agreement, I guess. And Santorin obviously is a very, very, very good jungler in NA. In my opinion, Santorin and Closer are the 2 best junglers at the moment. And so it's obviously an upgrade over Broxah, especially the performance he showed during the last year. So losing an import slot and getting a freebie, so they're still fine in that department, and in any other position they are not changing anything. So keeping Jensen, Tactical and CoreJJ, which obviously I think is fine. I'm not really a great fan of Tactical yet, but what he showed looked quite good. I think most of it is still on the back of CoreJJ, but Tactical is also rather young, so I guess that's fine. And with him getting more experience through Worlds and so on, also actually able to play the qualifiers, yeah, probably helped him a lot. Yeah, weren't able to get out of groups. Still, I think overall, even though I think the Alphari Impact move is a bit questionable, the overall team upgraded and yeah, looks the best still because of nearly all of their positions. They don't have any super standout players in all positions, but very good players in every position. And in Santorin and CoreJJ, I feel like they have the best support and the best jungler, where there are 2 best junglers in my opinion, but still. So yeah, it's very 2 moves, very simple upgrade. And the impact thing, you could debate about it, but I guess Alphari is also younger, so keeping him for longer may be a bit better solution than having impact for maybe 1 more year or so. So yeah. And now coming to the last team, TSM. So TSM is a broken shipwreck after what happened at the end of the normal season year. So clutching in summer split victory and playoffs, and then completely being dismantled, destroyed, obliterated, however you want to phrase it, in Worlds. And it was not only because of good performance from the enemies, but also because of rather poor performance from the players themselves. And I mean, there are many memes about it, and it's quite funny for many of them, for many of us. But the team, they know they have to change a lot. So 2 players, or the 2 star players of the team, retired actually. Very drastic moves. Bjergsen retired and went into the coaching position. Doublelift retired again, you have to say, and probably started streaming again, I don't know. So losing 2 of their core players, and then also, as you see on the screen, they moved 2 other players from the roster. Broken Blade in the top lane left for Schalke, and they got Huni. So Broken Blade looked promising at the start as he joined, but in my opinion he then went downhill. Even though he won lane many times against many of the weaker top laners, he then didn't know how to work with his lead and work with the team, I think in any jungle top lane duo, because of the 20 million junglers they had, Broken Blade still didn't look all that great in the combination. So yeah, with him being a bit lackluster, and yeah, they obviously want to keep Speaker for some reason. I guess moving Broken Blade off the roster is a good move. Getting Huni though, yeah, no, like Huni is not an import slot if I remember correctly. He got the green card as of now. Or maybe he's still working on that. I'm not sure if the rumors are confirmed of that. But yeah, regardless of that department, Huni is a high variance player with having good highs, but also very, very strange lows. So yeah, he is like the 6-0 or 06 player, the typical Yasuo player if you want. So maybe this is the certain thing, the certain something that the team needs to get a bit more spice in there. But yeah, it's a bit risky, and Broken Blade was a bit more conservative, a bit more consistent in his play, especially in the laning phase, consistently ahead. Yes, afterwards there were some issues, but I guess that's the team issue, because yeah, certainly the player needs to know what he can do with his lead, but also the calls need to come from the rest of the map, and the team dynamic, how to use a good top laner, is not something that the top laner only himself has to do. Moving into mid lane, Power of Evil, obviously a downgrade to Bjergsen, even though I am a huge fan of Power of Evil, obviously, and I really like what he's doing with his creative builds, even though he has like moved away from like the very crazy stuff like Nashor's on Orianna, but still a very good and a very consistent player. I think he will do his job quite fine, and I think he's a very good catch for TSM here. But obviously in regards to Bjergsen, he is an import slot, and also he is not on the same level as him. So it's a downgrade even though the player is very good. Then in the bot lane they were able to get Lost, who is an OPL AD carry, if I know that correctly. But I think he has the green card as of now. Not sure about that at the moment. But yeah, Lost to Doublelift. Yeah, Doublelift didn't look all that great. So yeah, I have it with question marks here. So obviously Doublelift at his height, or just a few years before, obviously this would be a downgrade. But Doublelift didn't look all that good nearly the entire year. And yeah, so I have to mention that and can't really say this is a straight downgrade. Also, Lost is one of these dozen LPL players that are so damn good in terms of the rumors, right? Most of these OPL players never really popped off in the league, besides maybe FBI. But yeah, now with so many OPL players joining the main teams, maybe we see some of that. Lost seems very good from what I have seen in the academy team. So yeah, I think that's fine. And if you can't keep Bjergsen, you can't keep Doublelift as they want to retire, or they may have to retire. Who knows? But yeah, I think that's a fine move, similar with Power of Evil. And lastly, getting Sword Art over Biofrost. So yeah, Sword Art, a Taiwanese player, obviously known for playing with Suning this year and reaching the world final. Not winning it though, but Suning's performance was very great, and many of the games were carried by him. If you have watched my Worlds content, you know how high I praised him. So I think individually he's a very, very strong support, and in my opinion he's even better than Core JJ. But the problem here is the language barrier. So Lost, he is I think he may be Chinese. I obviously do not know his family tree, but yeah, I don't want to assume too much here. But yeah, his name looks Asian to me, if I can say that here. So maybe he knows Chinese and him and Sword Art can communicate. If that's not the case, that's a great issue. And then also there's Speaker. Speaker is Chinese, if I remember correctly. So Speaker could translate. Needing someone to translate on the team yeah, there are tons of issues in that department, because I do not assume that Sword Art is able to speak English, and yeah, as such, yeah, that's not the way to go. And yeah, the language barrier will be a great hindrance in anything that TSM wants to do here. So obviously the team downgraded hard here, in my opinion, and I think maybe in everyone's opinion. Losing Bjergsen and Doublelift, yes, they weren't in their prime, but these players were playing for so long. As such, often they fell in slumps, but then they came back. Even though this last year wasn't that great for them, there's the potential that they might come back next year or the year afterwards. And that's what I put in consideration for that. If you just consider the power level they were on yesterday, if you want to say it like that. As such, obviously it's an upgrade in these two positions, because they looked very bad. Then in top lane and support, Huni over Broken Blade. I like Huni, he's a very funny guy, but yeah, I am not a huge fan of any volatile player. Yeah, I have to downgrade that department. And Sword Art, even though he's very good, if you can't communicate with your teammates, you can't really support them all that well. They get a good rank, but it's still a downgrade, because there are many issues here, and they lost their image franchise players and great players overall. The English-Chinese problem in terms of translation, and yeah, they can't get another AD carry instead of Lost. If you say Lost, okay, he's there for Academy, and maybe he's switching and something like that. They can't get a Chinese or PCS AD carry. They have full import slots, so unless Lost can speak Chinese a bit, it's a great issue in any synergy departments here. Okay, this was again a very long video, and I'm deeply sorry for that, but I feel I have to get into greater detail in some of these cases and explain what I thought about these evaluations here and there, and also maybe what the team were thinking about this. So I'm very thankful that you have watched all this with me and stayed here till the end. So if you like what you saw, maybe leave a like, maybe leave a comment, do what you want. But thank you again, and I hope we see each other the next time. Till then, stay safe and bye.